We're good? Okay.
Chair, Mr. Ronsky.
Welcome to the May meeting of the Finance Committee. Today, it is just the chair, Al, Mr. Alconi, and myself. So there's some board, I see Joan up there in Albany. I'm not sure if there's any other board members there. We have Beryl with us here. Christina. Oh, I'm sorry, Christina. It's very light. Guess we should have shut the shades, but. First up on the agenda is the adoption of the meeting minutes from the April meeting of the Finance Committee. In a motion, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll second that motion. Good. And all in favor, aye. You nor I will oppose that, so that motion carries. The Columbia and the other offering that the board will address tomorrow were previously addressed by Finance. So there is one very, very small little bond on for about $400 that Matt is going to take us to. It's a pit sales tax bond. Take it away, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. The Finance Committee has been asked to recommend to the full board the authorization for the issuance of multiple series of tax-exempt and or taxable, fixed and or variable rate bonds issued at one or more times in an amount not to exceed $4.5 billion. The new money bonds may be issued with a term up to 30 years, provided, however, that the bonds issued to finance MTA projects may have a term of up to 50 years as authorized in the fiscal year 2024 enacted budget. The state would like the flexibility to issue the proposed bonds under either the personal income tax revenue bond program and or the sales tax revenue bond program. However, the current plan is to have this authorization cover two transactions. The authorization is for new money, refunding, and tender purposes, and the new money portion is estimated at approximately $2.1 billion and may be used for the following purposes to fund or reimburse the state. The purposes are the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, economic development projects and or grants, various environmental initiatives, healthcare grants, the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, the Office of Information and Technology Services, libraries and other SCD programs, MTA transportation facilities, the New York Power Authority Energy Project Loan Refinancings, the Office of General Services, the Office of Mental Health, the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, and the Office of Addiction Services and Supports, and finally, state and municipal facilities grants, otherwise known as SAM grants. I want to make note of the $2.1 billion for the projects that I just mentioned. The only piece that is prospective are the projects for the MTA. All of the rest is reimbursement to the state. In addition to the new money portion, this authorization also looks to cover the refunding and tender of certain bonds issued under various state-supported debt programs. Both the refunding, which is currently estimated at approximately $1.3 billion, and the tender will provide debt service savings to the state. On the tender, although we expect to target approximately $1.1 billion of bonds, investor participation is currently unknown at this time. And Mr. Chairman, before I go into some other details, I did want to make a note that we are rescinding the $2.75 billion authorization from November. When looking at security, for the personal income tax revenue bond program, the security features include 50% of the receipts for the New York State personal income tax, 50% of the employer compensation expense tax, and 50% of the receipts from the imposition of the pass-through entity tax, which are all deposited into the revenue bond tax fund. For the sales tax revenue bond program, the security includes a set aside of 2 cents of the state's 4% sale tax pursuant to statute and deposited into the sales tax revenue bond tax fund. And commenting on the debt service coverage ratios, for this fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024, the debt service coverage on all outstanding state personal income tax bonds is projected to be 7.1 times total debt service, and the debt service coverage on all outstanding sales tax bonds is projected to be 8.2 times total debt service. And finally, Mr. Chairman, the expected ratings under either program are AA1, AA+, and AA+. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. Mr. Chair, any concerns, comments, questions?
Well, I think maybe the record ought to reflect, Mr. Chairman,
Matt's just told us that you're rescinding a $2.7 billion issuance that we approved previously. And the question really is, why rescind it? Why not leave it out there and issue now for less? I mean, Matt has a clear answer to that, but it ought to be in the record.
Sure. Please explain to us, Matt. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that question.
You know, Mr. Chairman, when we looked at this, I think we felt it's just better to start with a clean slate. If you had the 2.75 that we had authorized in November, we used part of that for one of the upcoming issuances. We'd have to go back and make sure, you know, we kept track of what was remaining, what was the balance of the 2.75. We are also describing some new programs for this issuance. So I think just stepping back, we felt it was better just to, you know, have a clean slate, rescind the 2.75 billion and start off fresh with the 4.5 billion. We have a better idea of the programs that we're going to finance. And certainly it's a cleaner way to do it, in my opinion.
Perfectly acceptable, Matt. I just thought it ought to be in the record. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
with the 4 point whatever minus the 2 points, so it's only 2 billion.
Right. 2 more billion.
Matt, you know, a number of years ago, like I asked the question, I remembered you explaining it, or it might have been for sure, but the money itself, like to set aside from the sales tax or the pit, like how does the money go? You know, I always consider like the dedicated account, like it comes from here and goes there and it's locked in to make sure the money's available. Just remind me like how that functions again and like how people like make sure that's happening.
Yeah, and so for the PIP program, the money is deposited into the revenue bond tax fund. And for the sales tax bond program, the money is deposited into the sales tax revenue bond tax fund. Does that explain your answer, Mr.
No,
Chairman?
I know, I remember that, but like who checks it? The Department of Tax of Finance and Taxation? Like who makes sure that happens?
That's my understanding. Yeah, the Department of Taxation.
Rely on them to sort of make sure it's there, and every once in a while, someone hopefully calls and makes sure it's there. That's my only. You could make that call for me, Matt. I'd appreciate it. The other thing was the MTA bond.
Yes.
Green bonds. Just take me through the green bonds. I mean, I think that's a good thing, but just for the record, just sort of get us the appropriate credit for that.
So the purposes that the MTA is expected to use the proceeds for, again, this is prospective, but we are looking at those, or we are looking at that issuance, that specific series, if you will, to be green bonds. And again, this will come out over time when we look more closely at the projects, but that is the expectation, right?
Right, but the benefits of the green bonds versus, you know, an ordinary bond.
The benefit is that there are specific investors that are looking for green bonds. So I really think that is the benefit, that we can market those bonds and work with the funds that are looking for those type of bonds. So that is really the benefit.
I get it, but it does sort of help the carbon footprint at the end of the day.
Well, correct, and right, and the outcome is these are cleaner, you know, energy projects, if you will, greener, and correct, to lower the carbon footprint.
And the 50-year we discussed at a couple of prior meetings, that's sort of set up by statute, so that's sort of the legislative determined that to be
and subject to the tax review as well, and the useful life of the assets. It's up to 50 years, but again, depending on the assets, it could be shorter.
And the projects themselves, we don't really know what those projects might be right now. They're going to unfold.
Correct. That is the one piece that is prospective. All of the rest of it is reimbursement on the other projects I described.
Thank you. Joan, any questions or concerns up there in Albany?
No, I don't.
Carol?
I'm
Anything? You're
good,
good?
thank you. I
Christine?
thought you made some very good
And
points.
Christine? Anything? You good?
Questions you have? I would have asked. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Al, no more?
No,
Hearing none, I'll make a motion. never understood, could I actually make the motion as
You
chair?
have to ask for a motion.
I'll ask, no, and I always do that. I was
Yeah, yeah.
wondering if, I'll ask for a
So
motion to recommend approval.
But then can he
of the full
second?
board.
Can he second?
I
You
can
have to do
second.
something.
I can always
Well, I've
second.
made a motion.
That's why.
I thought it would be a good idea
Check
to
on that.
make one
Check
because.
Ricardo, we'll have to check on that. Anyway,
Yeah.
going
You
back.
had-
Who's-
you
who's
had-
who's the
Drop
Robert's Rules
everything.
expert?
Anyway, can I get a motion to recommend approval of this
So,
important pit sales tax bond offering at tomorrow's full board? Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I will second that. And none of us will oppose that, so therefore that motion carries
and it carries unanimously.
unanimously. There's no abstentions, there's no
No nays.
so that motion carries. And I think Portia, unless I missed something, I think I covered it. I don't have the cheat sheet, but I think I got it, right?
Got everything, Jerry. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Portia. So
One minor thing, I mean, just curious, I can't remember who's with Matt tomorrow. Is it Vivian and Virginia?
It'll be Chris Reitzel and Sonny Williams.
Okay, I got that wrong, way wrong. Thank you.
right, Brian Rabinio and Nixon are on it.
Yes.
Right, got it. Okay, well, thank you very much. And I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll second that. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll see everyone tomorrow. And I guess
At 9:30.
9:30.